Well, hey, welcome to Quick Wins for ADHD Moms. I'm Jess, and I'm so excited to introduce you to a guest today. Today's guest is Julie Legg, author of The Missing Piece, A Women's Guide to Understanding, Diagnosing, and Living with ADHD. Julie's journey has taken her from a free-range childhood in rural New Zealand to careers in acting, voice work, writing, and now advocacy. Diagnosed with ADHD at 52, she turned her story into a source of inspiration for women worldwide. She's also the co-host of the ADH Difference podcast and a proud homesteader, musician, and mom of three. So, Julie, welcome to the show. We're so excited about having you.
Lovely to be here. Thank you, Jess.
Yes. So we always start off our shows with a quick win for ADHD moms because we've got an attention span that's
Yes.
already gone. So I'd love to hear your quick win.
Okay, mine is really simple and possibly a bit random. And for me, it's flip the script. And the way I see it and use it often is that we talk about ADHD strategies and in this situation, do this or think about this. And sometimes we just don't have strategies for every occasion. But when you find yourself with some ADHD traits brewing to that point of bubbling over, and it might be overwhelm or anger or whatever it may be, just breathe for a second and flip the script, as in just do the complete opposite to what you would normally do.
And that's hard to think in the moment, right? Because it's that instant.
Yeah, but if we use what we do best, which is our impulsivity, we can do it. And an example is, I actually love supermarket shopping until I get to the checkout. I just find I love shopping for food and it's all very exciting until the queues just drive me absolutely mad. So in the past, I would queue jump or just leave the trolley in the supermarket because I'm too overwhelmed and it's too much for me and just go
Yeah.
stuff this and go. But the other day, I could have had a grump. However, there was a mum in front of me with a toddler in the trolley carrying a newborn, and both of them were very upset and not having a good time. And instead of moving over to the next aisle, I went, I dumped my trolley and I went to her and I said, I can either help you unload onto the conveyor or I can take your newborn. And she said, here you are. And you
Aw.
know what? I wouldn't normally do that, but my grumpy moment turned into a beautiful moment and actually the highlight of my
Mhm.
week. I had this warm crying baby in my arms who settled instantly and I went, yes, that's what it's
It
like
was the
again to have a
moment that
newborn.
needed to
Yeah.
happen.
And
Yeah.
it surprised me. But it's just, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So if you find these moments that are always triggering and upsetting or frustrating, just do something different. Yes, it is a strategy, but it's potentially an unplanned one. And if it works, you can put that into your repertoire going forward. But I think it's we do need strategies, but we
Mhm.
don't always have one for every occasion. So this quick win is just thinking on the spot, doing the opposite as you normally would, because what you've done in the past may not have worked, and just try something different. And you might be surprised how much fun it is, and it's a real feel-good factor.
Yeah. And you have stories to tell after that. Just
Yes.
flip the script. If that's all you can just remember, hey, flip the script. All right, what else can I do? I like that. And breathe. I like the take a deep breath, getting that air and oxygen back into our lungs and back up to our brains.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
thank you. That's wonderful. I would love to ask you about your book. You just released the book not too long ago, right? And you were diagnosed at 52. So tell me what that was like being diagnosed and looking back. How did that feel for you?
Uh-huh. Well, for me, it was 100% validation.
Yeah.
I cried and I laughed for days and days. I was so excited because for me, I've always just felt so different. At times it was fantastical and I loved that feeling of being different. And other times it felt quite lonely and I didn't fit in anywhere. I fitted in everywhere, yet nowhere at the same time. And so just the more I uncovered about ADHD, the more it made sense. And the research I did explaining every aspect of my underdiagnosed life, it was light bulb moments, all of those words that you hear flung around. It was just absolutely amazing. And for me, it was just brilliant. I've always been an optimistic kind of a character. And so I've had huge bumps in my road and the journey of life. And I pick myself up and brush myself off and head on the path. But I know that it's not always like that for ADHDers. And so I started writing. I thought I'd write a blog, and then there was just far too much to put in a blog. I wanted people to hold something in their hands that explained everything. And I really felt that it wasn't just my story because ADHD's on a spectrum and people experience it in
Hmm.
different ways, even though we have similar traits. So I was approached by around 200 women also diagnosed as adults. And of those, 30 made it through to the book. So it's just not my experience, it's theirs as well. And I think it just shows this real balance of those that are really, really struggling and those somewhat further down their journey where they've accepted it and they're riding this really happy wave of knowing who they are finally. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. They're finally knowing who they are. And when I felt I was also late diagnosed, and I felt like all of these puzzle pieces finally came together and like it just revealed this picture. And, you know, what would it have been like if we knew that when we were younger? Would we be any different today? I'd like to think not. I'd like to think we're still bubbly and happy and like have creative ideas and um but how do you feel like you're any different, before diagnosis and after?
I am the same person. Absolutely. I am still the child that I was, 100%. Do I feel the same? I feel more confident now than I did before. I felt, I felt misunderstood and therefore masked a lot. And
Yeah.
therefore, I just felt that while people would see me in a particular light, it wasn't actually my truth because I am all of me and I have my good moments and my bad moments and moments of madness and crazy creativity. And yet, certain people, maybe at work, would only see quite a diluted side of me, the corporate professional side of me. Whereas, I had all this other parts that I felt I couldn't show. And so since diagnosis, and it's not an instant, yay, oh, look, I know who I am now. Brilliant. It does take time and it takes a journey. And I've always said life starts at your diagnosis. It's not the end, it's the beginning. And it really does
Yeah.
take time. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that because I think a lot of people think that, well, maybe I do have that. And if I do get diagnosed, then it will change my life because now I can, whatever. But I think it's this, we need to spread it out and it's this big long journey of discovering, and whether you get diagnosed or not, there's still a
Mm,
lot of strategies that you can put
mm.
into place. But I do like that you talked about it. It was very validating.
For me, it was. And I do appreciate and respect that it's not always that for everybody. It's almost like you go through a process of the stages of grief. There's,
Mhm.
denial potentially, anger that it wasn't picked up earlier, disappointment. There's a huge array of feelings that you'll go through. But there is a positive end if you allow that in, if you allow acceptance in the end y- and work on that. It really is a very, very good thing. I highly
Yeah.
encourage if people are really stuck after a diagnosis or going through that process and wondering, fear not. get through it, and the more you know, the less fear you have, because we only fear what we don't know, right?
What we don't know.
So yeah.
Exactly.
So listen to podcasts like this and just be inspired or reassured that you're not alone, and
Hmm.
there's a huge community going through exactly the same thing,
Hmm.
potentially in silence. So just listening in and tap into this great space, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. Sometimes that's just all we need to hear. You're going to be fine. So, looking back at writing this book and all of these women, are there certain things that you were surprised that kept popping up?
Many,
Or
many, many
certain
things.
threads, maybe surprise, maybe certain threads that you saw very common because it's so underdiagnosed.
Yeah,
What are the things that really came out that showed, okay, this is why it looks different in women?
definitely in childhood, and I think really early on we've learnt to mask. And
Mhm.
really young, 5, 6, we all of a sudden have a look at our peers, and there's a chap in the States, Dodson. Dodson. He said
Yes,
around by the age of 7, I think it is, uh, those with ADHD would have received around 20,000 negative or corrective comments to them, or remarks to them. So, that's a heck of a lot of when you're sort of, I don't know, bombarded with maybe negativity or corrections all the time. You do make adjustments. So I think that, along with your peers trying to fit in, and learning that, I over talked, and I out of that friend group now, maybe I talk too much. Going to the next friend group, maybe I talk too little. And, and you kind of make all these adjustments. And I think, yeah, so masking was huge, huge. The other thing I thought was really, really interesting in the process of interviewing these women, they absolutely poured their heart out, and it was quite emotional reading. A lot of them would say that they haven't spoken to anyone about this before.
Mhm.
Because the women are anonymous in the book, they were able to just say things and get it off their chest. So it was very cathartic for them. And I was surprised how many hadn't disclosed certain aspects of their life, or what they've been thinking, or perhaps some events happened in the past. They haven't told their
Mhm.
partners, their family, So it was quite an honour and a privilege to be privy to that information. But I wanted to put it in because actually that's the reality of a
Mhm.
undiagnosed life of ADHD. There will be instances and accidents and events that happen that we try and bury because we're not proud of that, or there might be some guilt or shame associated with that. Yeah. Lot of job changes, a lot of
Mhm.
a lot of movement there, and that's fully explained, of course, with ADHD. Our drive for novelty, and
Mhm.
dopamine hits, that sense of
Mhm.
boredom coming through can, yeah, that can really affect our decision making with
Yes,
relationships,
absolutely.
careers,
Mhm.
a whole bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was on your website, and I loved. Did you just recently redo your website? Because you have done so many different things. And when I read, you said this website is home to the whole of me. And I thought, what a beautiful way to, because especially those of us who run our own business, you have pick a niche market and you have to only be this. And if you're a podcaster, you tell everybody you're only a podcaster because they're not going to understand all these other things. And I think, well, I can't put myself in this teeny little box. Like there's so much more to this, and so I love how you said it shows the whole of you. So,
Now, thank you. This is a graduation from my post diagnosis journey. I felt that I've been split into many boxes, all my life, and
yes,
I
yes.
have done many things. I've been acting for 25 years. I've been doing voiceovers for closer to 30. I have worked in corporate, and I do podcasts, and I've written a book and all those things, but I'm not just one. And so originally the website was an author site.
Mhm.
And then I thought, actually, that's only a small part of me. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
yeah, so that was very intentional to just go, no, no, this is all of me now. So here you
This
go.
is
Yeah,
everything. Yeah, no, I
yeah.
really appreciate that because again, the advice is, just follow one thing, and we bring so much experience in life with us that it's hard to just pigeonhole that.
To again, it's maybe the standard narrative, or maybe a neurotypical way of thinking, or maybe it's just how we've been brought up, that you have a career. Goodness, generations ago, you'd wait for your gold watch after how many decades of working in a job? You know what I mean? And if your CV showed more than 2 or 3 jobs, it'd be maybe they're
You're not
not
really
so
dedicated.
reliable. No, exactly. But no, we can do it, and I think it's breaking a cycle, and no, we can be many
Mhm.
things, and no one gets to put us in a box. We get to just be who we are.
You're right,
We
and that we
can,
need to remind ourselves that,
we do,
we
we do.
we do not have to be put in a box. Yeah, we have Julia, I would love to hear just what you would say if you had to sit down with an ADHD mom. Maybe they feel like they could have ADHD, maybe not. They're on this part of the journey that is just very fuzzy, not in focus. What advice would you give them if you sat down across from them and have tea? What would you say to them?
I guess from a looking at my younger self, if I was the child in that situation, um, I would want to be fully supported and encouraged to follow my passions and to be celebrated for my different thinking. So I think it's, as a mother with a child that probably needs that support,
Mm,
um, is to be patient, is to breathe, is to listen,
mm,
and know that your child's brain is wired differently. You may have ADHD yourself, whether it's diagnosed or not, but just the joy that and the creativity and a whole bunch of amazing strengths your child will have might be buried in some challenges that appear to be stronger, whether it's at school or whether there are some social challenges, but within them is some amazing strengths. And yeah, just to listen and to support and tell them that their brain is just wired differently. That is it, and they're amazing. So yeah, stick with it. Stick with
I
it.
love
Yeah.
that. I love that because it can be so frustrating when you're in the middle of your moment with your child and you're coming from one end and they're coming from another, and there's anger and frustration, and use that quick win, flip the script, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Flip the script
Yeah.
and give them a hug. Bring
Yes.
him in close, right? Bring him in
Yes.
close, don't push him away.
And they're not a problem to solve. They just want
Oh,
to be
that's good.
heard. They just want to be,
They're
you
not a
know?
problem to be
No.
solved. That's beautiful. And that's a good reminder. I appreciate that. So, well, Julie, if someone is looking to read your book or find out more about you, where can they find you?
Probably the best one is my website, which is julieleg.nz. I am New Zealand based, and yeah, that's a bit about me, a bit about the book, which is available everywhere, really. Oh, I was really excited. It's also available in Braille and in large font and a dyslexia font, which is meant to be good for those dyslexic. Find it
Yes,
easier to read. So I'm really excited because I think the topic should be accessible for everybody. And
absolutely.
yeah, just having it in those different formats. Yeah, I was really pleased. It was with HarperCollins as well, so I was really chuffed that
Very notable
yeah,
company. Yeah.
yeah. So very pleased.
And that's nice to know that they're taking this subject matter seriously, and they know that
Yeah,
because if a huge publisher is publishing this, they know there's an audience for this. We're
yeah,
just all masking and we're all hiding. We're going to
that's right.
come out of our shell here.
I also want to say that it has been medically reviewed, so
Oh, wonderful.
it's not self-published, and I haven't just chuck words together. It's been through all the appropriate channels, and it got the big tick. So there you go.
Well, first of all, congratulations, because
Thank you.
that is the ultimate test of patience, going
I
through all of
know,
those steps. And,
I
oh,
know,
you made
I
it.
know, I know. The whole process is really, really interesting. It's a very professional process going through a publisher. But it does take longer. I wanted to, as soon as I'd finished it, I wanted it done, gone. And it took around 18 months. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I had to have lots of deep breathing exercise.
Right. And now you're on the other side of that. Now you can talk about it and you have the resource that is available right now. And I'm
Yeah. And
excited. I'm going to get it and read it. I'm
good on
excited to
you.
look.
Good on.
Yes.
Oh,
And
it's
read all the
available on
stories.
audiobook too. I'm
Perfect.
currently writing a fiction at the moment. I decided that nonfiction was great, and yes, the research and it was me absolutely. But now I want to put my creativity in place, so I'm dabbling on a little fiction story for middle
Oh,
grade readers. So yeah.
oh, fun. I mean, this could be a whole series, right?
Well, you never know.
I'll
You
start
never
with
know.
one. Start with
Exactly.
one. All right. Well, thank you, Julie. I appreciate your time, your beautiful, beautiful story, and I thank you so much for just sharing a little bit of that with our listeners.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for having me on the show.